All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Left 2 board meeting. It is March 29th. It's 9:30. We'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. As we normally do, let's go ahead and take a moment of silence to remember our brothers and sisters who have fallen and our military service as well. All right. Thank you very much. Executive Director Nelson, looks like we have just a couple things to cover today, so I'm going to turn it over to you for your report. You and
Yes.
Jacob, I mean.
Today will be the, again, the kind of expedited or short meeting version that we have during session with a ledge update and an admin update. And then I'll have a few comments before at the end. We'll start with the ledge update though, and I'll turn it over to Jacob for that.
Hey, good morning, board members. For the record, Jacob White, staff to the board. Going to be a brief update today as we're winding down session and not a lot of bills that we've been tracking left alive. First with the good news, the one board endorsed bill this session, the no cost interruptive military service credit bill. The House version of that has passed the Senate and has been signed by the Senate president. And so it is now just waiting to be delivered to the governor. And then once it's delivered to the governor will have 5 days to take action on that bill. And hopefully it will be signed into law. Just as a reminder, there was an amendment to that bill in the House, but it did not change anything substantive. It does exactly what we had planned on the bill doing the last 2 years. There was just a concern from House staff that about how it would apply retroactively and whether that needed to be more clear in the language of the bill. So that amendment was made, but it makes no changes to how we've discussed the bill in the past. Other bills that are not board endorsed bills that we've been tracking that are still live. Not going to touch on all of these listed because a couple of them are not alive. So we've got the concerning flexible work for police officers. And so the Senate version of this is still alive and it's been referred to House Appropriations. And as of right now, it hasn't been scheduled for a hearing. And so just a reminder, this bill would allow for, it does a few things, but how it impacts LEF is it would allow for part-time law enforcement officers to be eligible for LEF, which is a change to the existing policy for police and fire that those positions be full-time and fully compensated to be eligible for LEF membership. Also, the tribal law enforcement officers bill is still alive, and that one is been referred to Ways and Means, or I'm sorry, it had been passed out of Ways and Means and is in rules right now. And so that bill, the drafting of that bill utilized the study that the board did a few years ago. It would allow tribes to enter into compacts with Washington State so that tribal law enforcement officers can participate in LEF 2. And then lastly, the budget, the operating budgets came out last week for the Senate and the House. And we're tracking those. And the main point I wanted to make on those is that now we know that the governor's House and Senate budget all fully fund LEF 2. And so the next cutoff, that's all the bills we're tracking right now, but the next cutoff is April 4th for bills to make it out of fiscal committees, and then April 12th for them to pass out of the opposite house, and then April 23rd is the last day of session. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for Jacob? I'm not seeing anything. All right. Thanks, Jacob. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Nelson.
All right. For the admin update, I've got two things that I wanted to mention to you. The Fraternal Order of Police was in town for their legislative conference. And I went over and spoke to them, just gave them a brief session update. They wanted a status of the plan kind of briefing, answered questions. They did express an interest in getting updated costs for a drop plan. And so I passed that request along. In April, in Kennewick, the firefighters will have their educational conference, annual educational conference. We are planning on having a table there with somebody to answer questions or the members like we normally do. So that's the only upcoming outreach activity. I do want to talk though about the next board meeting. As Jacob mentioned, session is scheduled to end April 23rd, and I don't think there's any expectation at all of a special session. So the plan would be for the April 26th meeting to be a little bit different from the session meetings that we've been having. Jacob would do kind of a session recap of all the bills, but then we would also give you a preview of all the potential topics either coming out of session or that were deferred from the board last year for possible study this interim. So there would be a session recap and an interim preview that would give you guys a chance to prepare. Then the May meeting, we would begin working on the interim work plan with the idea that there would be a draft work plan in May that you would finalize in June. So I did want to give you a heads up about the April meeting, and we'll be reaching out to you ahead of that. There was several bills this session that didn't pass that had provisions in them that would have impacted left two. And then Jacob will talk, there's also some federal legislation that had a number of pieces that either impacted left two, might require changes in statute, might require changes in DRS administration. And so there's a lot of little issues, for lack of a better word. We'll start giving you guys sort of a chance to focus on that beginning in at that April meeting. That'll be more just like a highlight of all that's out there. And then May will begin the process of kind of sorting through what you want to work on this upcoming interim. I'd be happy to answer questions about any of that if you have them.
Are there any questions for Steve?
Dennis, is Pat.
Hey, Pat, go ahead.
I am actually out of town on the 26th, but I'll be available to probably get a hold of you guys on a kind of a quick meeting. Possibly, are we going to have an admin meeting on that on the 26th, Dennis?
I don't think we'll need an admin meeting on the 26th, but we'll definitely begin the admin meetings in May.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll either you, Dennis, or Steve, I'll try and contact you by phone just to kind of get an update before the meeting. And if I'll probably be there by a Zoom, but maybe in and out because it's going to be a conference.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Again, I don't think any of the April stuff will be action items, but there will be, it's kind of like getting all of this out in front of you so that you're not hit cold with it in May.
Yeah, that's why I'll get an update from either you or Dennis, Steve.
Deal.
Sounds good, Pat. Thank you. Any other questions, comments for Steve or Jacob? seeing anything. No hands are raised. All right, Steve, is there anything else?
No, that'll cover it. We'll
Yep.
be sending materials out to you in advance of April. Other than that, that concludes my remarks for today.
Well, thank you very much and your team for the work. Go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? And seconded.
Second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adjourn has passed. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you on April 26th. Thank you so much.